Pete Worbington, Teworbington.
How old are you, sir?
I am 34 years of age.
Did you at one point live in a residence at 3159 South 39th Street?
I did. I was the lower tenant.
Is that address, is it a single-family house? What is it?
It's a duplex, upper unit and a lower unit. I rented out the lower unit from Max.
Is it in the city and county of Milwaukee, Wisconsin?
Yes.
You said you rented the lower unit from who?
Maxwell Anderson?
Is Maxwell Anderson someone you knew prior to renting that unit?
Yes, I knew him ever since I was a little kid. His father was my baseball coach in Little League, and then I moved down to Texas for 18 years or so, and after I finished college, I moved back and saw that he had put an ad on Facebook saying that he had a lower unit for rent, and I needed to get closer to Milwaukee for work, so that's how that worked out.
Is the person you're calling Maxwell Anderson in the courtroom today?
Yeah, absolutely.
Could you please identify him by indicating where he is sitting and something he's wearing?
Yeah, he's right here, and he's wearing a gray long sleeve shirt, button down.
I'd ask the record to reflect the witness identified the defendant and pointed at him.
Yes, that's fine.
The record will so reflect.
So you had lived in Texas and then you moved back to Wisconsin?
Yeah, once I finished college, I did, yes.
And that's how you found this apartment?
Yeah, post online, made by Maxwell.
Did you reach out to him?
Yeah, I reached out to him. He told me to come over. I looked at the place. It worked out. The rent was cheap. I liked it, so I took it.
When was this? What year?
I can't. 2023, I believe, and I lived there for 2 years, or 2022. I can't nail down it.
Okay, and you also just said you had lived there for 2 years,
2
correct?
years, yeah, roughly.
When did you move out of there?
I would say probably a week after I was dragged out of my home in my underwear by the SWAT team.
Okay, would that have been in April of 2024?
Yes,
And so you lived in the lower unit?
I did.
Who lived in the upper unit?
Maxwell Anderson.
Would you pay rent to him?
Yes.
How would you do that?
Pie check usually.
Once a month?
He would let me pay pretty much whenever I wanted, which is one of the reasons that I did want to continue renting from him. So I might pay him $500 first week, next paycheck, pay him $500 that week. Sometimes it was all in one, $1,000 a month, and I wrote it to him at the beginning of the month.
Did you understand him to be the landlord?
Yes.
Did you understand him to be the owner of the house?
Yes, he explained to me that he was the owner of the house, yes.
Did you believe that to be true?
I didn't believe that to be true, no.
Why not?
Well, I guess I could.
I'm going to object on relevance grounds to this line of questioning.
Why is it relevant?
Goes towards his knowledge of the defendant.
I'll allow it. You can answer it if you're able to answer it.
Well, he told me that he put $40,000 down on his home, but throughout the course of me staying in the house, I came to realize that Max didn't necessarily hold down a job very well. So it was kind of confusing to me how somebody could amass a $40,000 down payment when they only work 3 days a week and are frequently changing jobs.
But nevertheless, you would just pay him and no one else?
Absolutely, him and no one else.
Did you interact with him much other than to pay rent?
We probably hung out the first year that I was there a handful of times. Went to a couple of bars, just kind of keeping it amicable, as friendly as you could be from a tenant to a landlord.
How many times?
5, 10 maybe.
And had you ever been in his unit?
Yeah, a couple of times I went up there. We were just talking about, whatever. It wasn't for anything in particular, but yeah, when he called me over to look at the unit at first, he didn't even show me the lower unit. He just showed me his apartment upstairs, and he said it was kind of pretty much the same thing downstairs, just with an extra room, so.
You stated that you had hung out with him a couple times the first year. Did you not hang out with him after a period of time?
Yeah, after about the first year of living there, he came to be what I would call just an insufferable landlord. He would basically have people over.
I'm going to object again. This is getting into impermissible character evidence.
I'll ask a more pointed question.
Okay.
You stopped hanging out with him after about the first year, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Did you understand him to, I think you said he worked jobs. What did you know him to do for work?
I knew that he was a bartender. He just worked at a bunch of different locations, which isn't uncommon for bartenders to do, but
Did you know what bars?
I knew that he worked at Victor's. That was really the only one that I can remember right now. But like I said, he went through a couple.
Did he have a car?
Yeah, he had a black SUV.
Do you remember what kind?
Hyundai, however you say that.
Did you have a car?
Yeah,
What car did you have?
I have a black Honda Civic.
And would you park it at the residence?
Yeah, usually, I mean, it could go either way. Some days I would park in the front street, and then some days I would park in the back by the garage.
I want to talk to you about the layout of the residence. I'm going to show you a few exhibits here. Why don't you page through this, and for the record, these are going to be exhibits 297, 354, 355, 381, 359, 382. We'll start with that. Can you just page through those silently to yourself and tell me when you're done?
All right?
Those are all photographs, right?
Yep.
Do you recognize where these photographs were taken?
Yeah, that's predominantly the house that I lived in, and then in the basement as well.
I would move those exhibits in again, and I could read the numbers for the record if Your Honor would like.
I have 257, 354, 355, 381, 359, and 382.
It was 297.
Okay, that made no sense to me because 257 was already in, so
Okay.
that makes more sense.
All right, good.
Any objection?
No.
They're received.
Ask to publish.
Go ahead.
I'm going to start with exhibit 297 here. Mr. Worbington, can you see that TV, either the one to my right or the one next to
I
me?
could see it just fine.
Okay. 297, what are we looking at, sir?
That would be the front yard of my home, or where I lived at Maxwell Anderson's home.
Who's this person right here?
That person?
Yes.
That me? That is me. That's absolutely me.
Okay. All right. So this is where you live?
Yep.
And you are standing on the front cement porch?
Yep.
That door that's next to you, is that a door into your unit, the upper unit? Where does that door go?
That door goes specifically to my unit, the lower unit, and it did not go upstairs. And that's the door that I use the majority of the time.
So that unit, that door, you couldn't get into the upper unit from that door?
Not from that door, no.
Okay. Did you use that door predominantly?
Predominantly, yes.
Over here, there's a gate. You see that?
Yep.
Is there a side door?
There is a side door about 10 feet inside of that gate once you walk into it, on the right.
Where does the side door lead into?
The side door, once you open it, you can either go to the middle floor, which would be my unit. You can go downstairs into the basement, or you could go upstairs to Maxwell's unit.
Were you known to use the side door at all?
Very infrequently, only probably to go to work if I was parked out back. A lot of the time, like I said, I was parked out front anyway, because it's easier for me to just walk through the front door.
So you would use the side door, but it wasn't common?
No, it wasn't, and I actually would let my dog out of the front door as well. There should be a cable there, so I use the front door more often than not, yeah.
You had one dog?
I had one dog, yes.
Did the defendant have any dogs?
He had two dogs.
Where would those dogs stay?
Usually in the basement, that's where their kennels were located, but when Maxwell was home, he would take them upstairs with him.
What kind of dog did you have?
I have a large American Bulldog.
And what kind of dogs did Mr. Anderson have?
Believe it was a black lab and some kind of pit bull terrier. Both female, if
Okay.
that matters.
Let's talk about your apartment first. Can you just kind of summarize the general layout of it?
Yeah, if you were to walk in that front door right there to the left, you've got my living room. It's kind of set up in like an X. There's 4 rooms in the 4 corners. The room on the right would be my bedroom, and then you have the bathroom in the middle, and then you have my home office in the far right corner of the home, and then the kitchen in the far left-hand corner.
Where's your bedroom?
My bedroom is right there. As soon as you open that front door, you're going to walk into a wall. It's on the other side of that wall, so right there on the right.
How many bedrooms total in your unit?
In my unit, 2.
And your room was sort of in the front of the residence?
Absolutely. As soon as you open up that front door, there's a wall 3 feet in front of you. If you go on the other side of that wall, that's my room.
Let's talk about the basement. How would you get to the basement?
Through that side door.
Not
in
through the
unit.
front door?
Not through the front door, no. In order for me to go to the basement, the only way that you can get in there is if you were to go in through that side door. Obviously, you could get there through my unit because there's a door into the stairwell, and that's how I would get to the basement.
Okay. Did you ever use the basement?
I used the basement probably the first year that I was there doing my laundry. Other than that, I mean, I cut it down. I did not like going down there. It smelled awful. There was oftentimes I would have to report to Max that his dogs had defecated in the basement. It was horrid smelling. It frequently flooded and had what I can only assume is,
I'm going to object on relevance grounds.
All right, I'll ask a different question.
Okay.
You didn't use the basement much.
not much, yes.
You used to use it to do your laundry, right?
Yes.
You kind of stopped doing that?
Yeah, I stopped probably the last couple of months that I was there. I didn't go down there pretty much at all, maybe once a month to do laundry. But then his washing machine actually broke and he started utilizing mine, or what was reserved for me. And I didn't want to share a washing machine with him, so I would just honestly just go down to my mom's and do some of my laundry there.
Did you keep any belongings in the basement?
No.
I'm going to show exhibit 354 on the screen here. What are we looking at?
That's a stairwell going up from the basement, and that is the side door that I've been discussing.
That's the side door?
Yep.
All right, and then next, I'm going to zoom in here. There's a, right where I'm pointing here, what is that?
Multiple light switch panels there.
What would those activate?
Those would activate stairwell lights, and I believe the light that is outside of the door.
So there's a light outside that side door?
That screen door right there, yes.
And it's activated or deactivated through the switch?
To the best of my knowledge, I believe so, yes.
You don't recall it being motion activated?
I do not recall any motion activated lights.
Exhibit 355, what are we looking at here? And if you can, when you answer that question, just orient us from the last picture.
So it would be as if you turned, I don't know, 45 degrees to the right and just snapped another photo in the same spot. You're at the bottom of the stairwell there, and you are looking to the right side of the basement.
Exhibit 359. Where is this, or what are we looking at? And if you could use that last photo to help us understand.
Yeah, last photo would probably be like a 180-degree shot from the last photo that we just looked at. Looks like somebody turned right around, and this is kind of towards the front part of the basement, I guess you could say. You can see the dog kennel there, yeah. That would be the front part, directly under my living room is where that would be.
All right, so the dog kennel area you're referring to is,
Back there, yes.
is that where you knew Maxwell Anderson to keep his dogs?
Yeah, in his kennels, yes.
Was that all the time, or just when he wasn't there?
Just when he wasn't there, they were in the kennel. He usually would bring them up into his apartment when he was there, yeah.
.381. What are we looking at here?
That looks like so that's the dryer right there. So you're looking, I don't know, towards the back of the basement. If you were to come down the stairs, down the left-hand side, he had a tool bench down there. And that punching bag. So yeah, the back left, if you were to come down the stairs of the basement.
Same room as 355, is that fair to say?
Yes, that's exactly right next to the tool bench.
And that's not the same part of the basement as 359, right?
No, it's not. That would be opposite ends.
Okay. And then I'm gonna put up 382.
Yeah, that's the tool bench.
Was anything in there, in that tool bench yours?
No, not at all.
You had nothing in the basement?
Absolutely nothing. I put nothing down there.
Did you know him to have a lot of tools?
Yeah, absolutely. Neighbors would come over and ask us to borrow tools.
Okay. Did you know him to use the tools?
Did I know Max? Absolutely. He was constantly working on home improvement projects that that he called home improvement, but they weren't very good.
What kind of projects are you talking about?
Well, he did some work on the fence. He was building some kind of underground shelter. He was going to allow his dogs to sleep under there. That would be the hole in the yard. And so in doing so, he had to work on the fence, and I believe he put up some shiplap and painted it. So.
I didn't hear that last thing. Put up some what?
Shiplap, it's a type of like wood that you could put up.
Can you spell that?
No. SHIPLAP, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So continue. You were discussing.
Yeah, so I mean, it was almost nonstop, and it got to the point. That's one of the main reasons that I was moving out, is that it was like living in a construction zone. I mean, I'd get off from work at 5 o'clock, and I'd have to tell them multiple times, after I work a long day of work, I'm not trying to come home to hearing hammers and saws and power drills or anything like that, but it just never ended.
So, lot of projects he'd be working on.
A lot of projects.
He would characterize them as home improvement projects.
That's how he would like to phrase it.
All right. You said there was a hole in the yard.
Yes,
Where was the hole?
that was right outside of the screen door.
The side door.
Side screen door, yes.
I'm going to show you Exhibit 302. It's fine. Do you recognize this photo?
Yeah, that's the whole discussion.
I'd move 302 and ask to publish.
Any objection?
No.
It's received, go ahead.
302 is on the screen here. So the camera person is standing just outside the side door facing 39th Street. Right?
Correct.
Okay. And where is this hole, if you could just describe, and if you need to get up to point.
Yeah, it's right in that back corner right there. You can see the shiplap that I just brought up. It's a lighter texture than the rest of the fence because it was a fresh cut. He was freshly putting that material up, and he freshly painted it. As you can see, the rest of the fence is a bit darker.
Sorry, you guys stepped on the corner.
It's a bit darker. He had just done that. Now you see, take your finger to the right there. Yeah,
Can I have the witness step up?
Sure.
absolutely.
I
Sorry.
think we have a microphone, if you just give me 1 second.
This here.
Turn it on.
All right. Why don't you point out what you're talking about as the hole?
As best as I can explain, this is the hole that he started with. So this was here even before I even moved in. This was here, I saw it there. He told me he was going to have it fixed up and he was going to put something there, but obviously that never happened. But as you can see here, this is a natural brown, a darker brown, because that fence has been there before I even moved in. And you can see here, these are the shiplap, and he put them horizontally. And so this has been done new because this started to cave in before he could even do anything with this. So this fence started to come down, so he had to fix that. So that's what he did. He put up this new shiplap, whatever this lumber is, and as you can see, it's a totally different painted color because it's been painted at 2 different times. This was the most recent project that I can remember that he had.
I can take a mic.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Why don't you keep it near you just in case you got to use the screen again. And then the hole is sort of between the camera person and the shiplap that you're referring to.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. What did he tell you the hole was for?
He told me he was going to put some sort of, I guess, shed or something there. He was going to build a shed to keep like a lawnmower in any kind of yard tools that he was using, and then underneath that, he was gonna allow his dogs to go down there, and that's where they would sleep, I guess, maybe stay warm in the winter. The idea didn't make much sense to me when it was explained to me either,
He was gonna have his dogs sleep in the hole?
from what he told me.
Was he planning on connecting it to the house or something?
I do not believe so. I think it was just something while they were out there that they could utilize. I don't think he planned on keeping them there and like having them live there permanently or anything.
You had suggested before that you were planning on moving out prior to April. Is that
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And how much prior to when you actually did move out were you thinking about leaving?
I mean, two months before, I had asked Max if he would write me like a letter of recommendation to the new apartment complex that I'm currently staying at.
So you had already looked for a new
Oh
apartment?
yeah, I'd already got one, signed the lease and everything. I was on my way out.
Let's switch gears a little bit. Why don't you explain, where's the garage?
So the garage from here is, if you turn 180 degrees and look straight back, it's an unattached garage, so it is way in the back.
I'm going to show you exhibits 450, 451, and 452. You look at these three photos and then tell me if you recognize those.
Yes. Yeah, this is the outside of the fence. This is where the garage is located in exhibit 450. That is the garage there.
Are all of these pictures photographs from the residence?
Absolutely.
I'd move those three exhibits in and ask to publish.
Any objection?
No.
Oh, they are received and go right ahead.
Let's start here with 452. What are we looking at?
This is the view into the backyard outside of the back fence.
Just inside the fence to sort of the left side into the, that would be where the majority of the backyard is, right?
Yeah, if you were to walk in and take a left, that's where most of the backyard is, correct.
And were there any other projects going on back in that part of the yard?
He said, so right here on the left where you see the vent license plate, he told me previously that he wanted to turn that into like some sort of outdoor bar, but the only thing he did was basically dig a hole.
Dug another hole?
Yeah, a smaller hole than the first one, of course, but there was nothing there other than a hole.
How long have you been working on those projects?
Objection, relevance.
I'll allow it. You can answer it if you can.
He'd been working on them since before I was there. I mean, he would go out there. I mean, the holes were open before I moved in, so I would say it's definitely longer than 2 years. I can't give you a definitive answer, but.
Exhibit 451, what are we looking at?
This is, if you look on the left there, that's the actual garage. And then, yeah, just another view of the back fence looking into the backyard.
Where the camera person is standing right now, was that kind of a parking slab?
That is a parking slab, and that's where I would park my Honda Civic some nights.
And then other nights you would park on the street?
On the street, yeah. Depending on how I was feeling that day, yeah.
In front of the house?
In front of the house, correct.
450 is on the screen right now. Is that kind of a photo of that parking slab?
Yeah, that is correct.
Is this trailer normally not there?
Yeah, the trailer is not there.
Okay. What is this that I'm pointing to here? Do you know what that is?
That looks like a light to me.
Did you know there to be a light back there?
I did know of a light to be there, yes. That one actually, yes, that one was motion censored.
Okay. How did that light get there?
He hung it up one day, I think probably right after I moved in, just so I had a light so that when I was parking back there, I could see what I was doing.
Was it affixed to the tree or was it just kind of hanging?
I think it was just kind of tied up there, yeah. I'm not sure what he used. I didn't even look, but.
Do you know where the power source for that light was?
I have no clue.
That wasn't your concern, it just...
Nah, as long as there was a light out there and I could see. I didn't look that far into it.
So what I'm gathering from these photos then was the backyard completely fenced in?
Absolutely.
Would he let his dogs back there?
Yeah.
Would you let your dogs back there?
No, my dogs doesn't get along with any other dogs.
And so you take your dog out the front door?
Out the front, yes.
Did you utilize the backyard for anything?
No. I mean, to walk through it to get to my car when I did park there, that was about it.
What about the garage? Did you use the garage?
I had no access to the garage
Do you
at
know
all.
at all?
At all. It was completely locked up.
Okay. Had you ever been in there?
I honestly, I cannot recall a time that I was ever in there. Maybe when he had the garage door open, I walked by it, but no, I've never been in there physically.
Did you know what was in there?
I knew that he had an older truck in there, and then there was just no space because I wanted to originally park in there. But he had his car, and then he had an older truck there, and I believe he had some kind of electric bicycle or something as well. So,
Was the older truck even functional to your knowledge?
no, it wasn't. It was all taken apart in the garage. I think it was a project truck or something.
All right, I want to switch gears slightly, Mr. Worbington. While you were living at the house, did you know it to be common for Maxwell Anderson to have people over in his unit?
All the time, yes.
Were there times where it was noisy?
Absolutely.
Were there times that it was noisy at hours that bothered you?
Oh, yeah. I've had meetings with corporate at 8 a.m., and he's been up at 5 in the morning with companies just singing at the top of his lungs upstairs.
Where were you working at the time back in April of 2024?
In April, I was in the office. I was an inside sales rep, so I was forced to work from inside my actual office, whereas now I work from home, so.
You had suggested before that there were times where you were working out of your apartment?
Yeah, absolutely. If I have to go out on projects or meet with clients, stuff like that.
And at strange hours, they would be loud?
Always.
Okay. How often would he have people over?
I would say, I mean, 2 to 3 times a month, there was probably a night where I didn't get any sleep until 3 o'clock in the morning.
Because why?
Because of the noise and the carrying on. I mean, drunk people coming over, falling down the stairs in the hallway. I had to hear all that, knocking stuff off the walls.
And this is separate from the project?
Yeah, this is completely separate.
Okay. It was not uncommon then for you to hear noises coming from his apartment,
Not uncommon at all.
particularly even at night?
Even at night, yes.
Okay. I want to take your attention back to around the time that you indicated you had been removed from your apartment by police.
Mm-hmm.
That week, where were you working that week?
That would be in office. So I was in my office in Menominee Falls.
What was your daily routine in your work week? I assume it was Monday through Friday?
Yeah, Monday through Friday. 7:30 is the time that I start, so I'm usually up at 6:30 getting ready, and then I'll leave, and then I drove to Menominee Falls from 39th Street. I would stay there until about 3:30, 4 o'clock, and then make my way home.
So Menominee Falls, how long a drive? 20 minutes? 25?
25, 30 maybe.
You had to
with
be there by
traffic.
7:30?
I had to be there by 7:30.
That week that you were removed from your apartment, did you work each day that week? Or
Each day was in the office, yes, correct.
What time would you get up?
Right around 6:15.
And that week, do you recall what day of the week that the police came?
I believe that was on Thursday, the 4th or so.
April 4th?
Yeah, April 4th.
Earlier that week, you just followed the same routine?
Same routine as just like any other week.
Okay. At any point in that week, did you recall, well, actually, let me ask this question. What time would you go to bed?
I'd try to go to bed around, 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Were you able to do that week?
That week I was. It was surprisingly, like I've told, the investigators, I didn't really hear much from Max in the 2 weeks prior to, it was actually quite pleasant around the house. I didn't even think he was there. I thought he was elsewhere,
Had you seen him in that 2-week span?
No.
So you hadn't seen him?
No.
Did you hear him?
I did not hear him up until I heard him. On which day, I'm not exactly certain, but it was definitely the week before the cops came and pulled me out of my house. I heard him getting ready and packing what I thought was, a suitcase or something, like he was going to stay elsewhere. And in my head, I'm like, oh, well, thank God he's leaving. It'll be quiet around here. So I heard him bringing down something, which day I can't confirm. Tuesday, Wednesday, could be any day. And I heard him bringing something down the stairs. That's the only piece of information that I've heard of him. That's the only interaction that I had with him, probably within 2 to 3 weeks of me
Okay.
being pulled from the house.
All right, so I'm gonna break that down just a bit.
Yeah,
You hadn't seen or heard of him in probably the 2 weeks up until you were removed from your apartment.
correct.
And at some point that week, we'll call it the week of April 1st, which
Yep.
would be Monday to the 5th, Friday. And then
Correct.
You said you were removed on the 4th, Thursday.
Yep.
At some point earlier that week, before you were removed, you heard him up in the morning.
Absolutely.
Do you know which day?
I do not know. I cannot confirm which day that was.
You don't know if it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
It was one of those 3 days, but I do not know which day.
And that's what you told investigators?
That's what I told everybody. I've always held that I did not know which day it was, but that was the last time that I'd ever heard from him.
Outside of that, did you hear anything else of him throughout that week?
Nothing, absolutely nothing. Like I said, I didn't even think he was there.
Okay. Would there be times where he wasn't there for periods of time?
Yeah, he would, I mean, sometimes he would go and just, I mean, stay with some friends or whatever, from what I understood, or he would go help his dad, I think, you know, doing some work wherever they went. And so there was some time periods where he'd be gone for a couple of days on end, yeah.
And it would be quieter around then?
Absolutely.
I'm going to show you Exhibit 403. And before I get into 403, you indicated you've always maintained you weren't sure which day that you heard him up in the morning, right?
Absolutely.
And that morning that you heard him, it would have been at that time around the 6 a.m. hour where you were getting ready to go.
Yeah, 5:30 to 6 a.m., yes.
What's 403?
That's my cell phone in my hand holding my phone in my living room.
And do you remember the police taking this photo?
I do, yes.
All right, I'd move 403 in.
Any objection?
No.
403 is received.
What is 403?
Are you asking me?
What is
Yeah,
the photo of?
this is a photo of my cell phone and Maxwell Anderson's phone number where I would contact him for, you know, house-related things.
Can you tell the jury what the phone number is that you would contact Maxwell Anderson at?
Yeah, it's gonna be 262-416-4874.
Take that, please. Put 403 on the Elmo. You gotta save as Max,
Mm-hmm,
okay?
Is that a yes?
yes.
And then, a little hard to see, but the phone number is right down there.
That is correct.
All right, I just have a few more questions, sir. You had indicated previously that you were having problems with the laundry, right? At some point.
I wasn't having problems with my laundry, but one of his washers had broken, and so he started to utilize, obviously, there was 2 washers and 2 dryers in the basement. So 2 obviously were reserved for me, 2 were reserved for him. One of his I think his washer broke or something, so he started to utilize mine. Well, I'd go down there and I'd try to do laundry, and I'm staring at a thing full of his clothes, and I just didn't want to deal with that, so I stopped even going down there to do laundry.
Was that happening all the way up until the time you had moved out of there, or no?
I would say it only happened like that thing must have broke like 2 or 3 months before all this even happened, so.
How did you communicate with him about that?
I didn't say anything about it. I would just turn the clothes over if it was, and then after a while I just got sick of it, and I mean, it didn't matter what I brought to his attention. He wasn't gonna change anything, so.
Did you ever move his laundry?
Yes.
Would you let him know?
Yeah, I'd shoot him a text and say, hey, I just put your stuff over. I just need to dry something real quick or whatever.
Sure, okay, as a courtesy.
Yeah,
All right. Would he do a lot of woodworking?
always, yeah.
Objection, relevance. If he's a woodworker or not.
I'm sorry? He said, what did? the last
Objection, relevance.
state?
It is relevant. I can ask a different question, though.
Okay, ask a different question.
He had a lot of power tools?
From what I understood, yes, he had to have.
Tools used for what?
Used for cutting, sawing, drilling, you know, things of that nature. Like we were just talking about the fence. That was that was some fresh work that he did.
And would he use these to do the woodworking?
Yes, I believe so. Yes.
Do you know exactly what kinds of tools?
I do not. All I could do is hear him through the walls.
How often would you hear him using power tools?
I mean, there would be definitely 2 or 3 days a month where he was going on and on.
That back gate here, I have 451 on the screen. Come up here. This back gate, to your knowledge, did that door latch or was it loose?
So the back fence door, I believe it was loose. The locking mechanism had shut. However, Maxwell would put like, I guess like a little socket or something at least so it would be secure and wouldn't blow open.
Okay.
But I would say 9 days out of 10, it was just wide open like that.
Okay, and I'm pointing to this door here. Is that what you're talking
Correct.
about? So it wasn't a secured door.
No.
A couple more questions, sir. The police came to your house on April 4th. You've established that. They pulled you out of your apartment, right?
Yes.
Were you otherwise cooperative with them?
Absolutely.
And did they ask you for permission to search your apartment?
They did.
And did you let them?
I did.
Okay. Nothing else. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Cross-examination?
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How about you?
Good. Do you, with respect to these photographs that you have looked at today, do you know when those photos were taken?
So that trailer there was brought to the house, I believe, by Maxwell's family. So this would be after April 4th. And I believe they brought the trailer to clean out the apartment. So
And the one of you on the front step, do you know what day that was taken?
that would have been probably that April 4th. Yeah, maybe the 5th.
Okay.
After they were doing the search of the house.
Right,
They allowed me back into the house after everything happened, and so there I was on the front porch.
right. I just sort of wanted to jump into that part of things too. Obviously, can we take this picture down, Ian?
Yes.
Yeah, I may go through some of them, and we'll just keep those down for now. Okay. So just to sort of recap, as the house is laid out, you have a front door, but that front door is only for your unit,
Only
right?
for my unit, yes.
Max doesn't go in the front door to get up to his.
No, never.
Side door, all three areas of the home are accessible, basement, your unit, or upstairs.
Correct, absolutely correct.
And the basement is not locked in any way. You can just go right down there if you want.
Yeah, there's
right?
not even a door. You just walk right down, yeah.
Exactly. And so everyone has free use of the space, meaning the two of you, except you've said you don't keep any of your stuff down there. You're clear on that,
Correct,
right?
I never put anything down there.
And with respect to Max's tools, we saw a workbench there, right?
Correct.
Did you ever go through his tools and look at the various things that he had?
There was only one time specifically that I even went over into that area, and that was when our neighbor asked to use a handsaw. And so I went down there, found the handsaw, and provided it to her.
Got it. So next door neighbor, basically.
Yeah, that was the only time that I would ever go down there.
And in terms of that'll be a good opportunity to show you this picture again, sir. Exhibit 452, you can see that here.
See what here?
Exhibit 452, you see a picture.
Yes, I see those, yeah.
Okay, and Max's home, or your home, if you will, on the left, and on the right, neighbor's house.
Yep, correct.
And the fence actually runs almost right up to that house next door, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're very close, yes.
Houses are very close. Right?
Yes, correct.
And that's common in this area. If you were to go up and down the street, all the houses are just close together.
That's
right?
correct.
These aren't big acre lots with tons of space.
This is correct.
It's a working class neighborhood.
Absolutely.
Okay. And if you look at the home to the right side, as we're looking at the picture, the home on the right side, there's even a window right up there, isn't there?
That is correct, yes.
And there's even windows right on the side of the home that look sort of I don't want to say into your house, but at your house, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Is this the neighbor that you gave the tool to?
That is
one time?
correct.
That is, right?
That is correct.
Okay. And so this was somebody who obviously was comfortable enough to come over and knock on the door and say, hey, do you got a saw I can borrow?
Yeah, well, not so much maybe with me because I'm just the tenant, but Maxwell lived there for a large portion of time and he knew her, yes.
Right. There's no bad blood between the
No,
neighbors
not at all.
that
She was the
identify.
sweetest lady I've ever met.
Okay. And you knew Max's dad because his father had coached you in Little League.
Yeah, in Little League.
Okay, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So you knew the family.
Well, I knew his father, not so much his mother or
you
his
knew
father's
Dad.
new girlfriend. But yes, I know his father, yes.
Okay. And so just so it's clear, that upstairs patio that we see on the left side of your guys' house, that's Max's,
That's
right?
all Max. I've never even been up there, no.
And you're the basement guy coming all the way back to the backyard, right?
That's true. This window right here, that's my kitchen. On the first floor there, that's my kitchen.
You could look right out that window, right out those three windows, you could look right into the backyard.
Yes.
And there's a walkway, there's a path that goes, as we're looking right now, the path that goes from garage to the house.
Yep.
Straight shot,
Yep.
directly alongside a neighbor's house, right?
Yep.
That's a yes, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, if one wanted to go out into the front of the home, a person could go through the gate at the end of the walkway.
That is correct.
If a person wanted to go to the alley, they would just walk down this path and they would be in the alley.
That is correct.
First, they'd go past a garage on their right-hand side, but then they'd be in an alley.
You are correct.
And you could park your Honda Civic. You had a Honda Civic?
Yeah.
It's a common car, right?
Yes.
You could park your Civic in the back if you wanted to, but often you would choose not to, right?
Yes, that is correct.
But if you wanted to, you could park it right on the slab there, couldn't you?
Yes.
And just walk up that pathway and get in the side
Yes,
door.
absolutely.
In that side door, couple things I want to point out about the side door, if you remember, okay? Number one, you can see there's an overhang over that door. Isn't there a little white metal awning, if you will, hanging over the door?
Yes, that's correct.
And that door actually had a hydraulic arm, if you remember, that would control it opening and closing.
Well,
right?
it did, but then it came off, and I asked Max to fix that, and he never did.
Right, he didn't fix it.
No.
That was seems like, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say it seems like you were bothered by him in some respects as a landlord.
I mean, it was, like I said, it was a trade-off. I knew that I was living in a place that I didn't want to live in because of how loud and disruptive he was, and Max was going to do whatever Max wanted to do at any time of the day. But the trade-off is he was very
Flexible.
lenient, flexible with payments and stuff like that. Me just getting my foot in the door in professional America, I needed that at the time.
Right. And I don't want to ask where you work, but it's a corporate type job.
Yes, absolutely.
You have clients. And
Thank you for your discretion. I said thank you for your discretion.
And
But yes.
you have clients and a schedule, though, is the point,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
And the hydraulic arm on the door, Max didn't fix it.
No.
The reason why that was a problem is because then instead of the door sort of halfway closing, it just,
Slammed shut and would wake me out of a dead sleep no matter what.
right. And so you do remember the SWAT team coming to the home,
Absolutely.
because that's the only time that's ever happened. Do you?
That's the only time it's ever happened to me in my life.
And it was a very chaotic event, if you will. Is that fair
Yeah,
to
I
say?
had just gotten home from work and I believe I was taking a nap and then I just heard some beating on the side door and I initially thought Max had just like lost his keys or something and needed to be let in. But then as I go out there, there's guns and helmets and Kevlar vests and whatever.
And they removed
They
you
just,
from
yeah,
this-
just knocked on the door. I opened the door. I said, hey, what's going on? I don't know what you're here for, but I know it's not me. So what can I help you with? So,
And then, is it your testimony that that was April 4th? Is that what I understand you to have said today? That was Thursday, April 4th?
Thursday the 4th, correct.
Okay. You also spoke with the police further on Saturday, April 6th. You would agree with that?
I believe so, yes.
And there was a time where law enforcement sat down with you. It was actually, I just want to explore if you remember this.
Yes.
You sat down with a few different officers that were present to interview you, right?
3 or 4, yes.
Right, exactly. 3 or 4 officers. And they actually interviewed you in the lower level of that house.
Yeah, on my living room couch, yes.
As opposed to making you come to a police station and answer questions there.
This is correct.
And did they tell you that they were audio recording your interview, or did they not tell you
They
that?
did. They absolutely notified me in that. And then they actually placed the recorder in front of me, so
So you could see it.
it was very apparent.
So if we need to refresh your recollection, we can always play that, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
And did you have any objection to the officers recording you?
No, not at all.
And would you describe this interview as a consensual meeting, meaning you were willing to answer whatever questions they
Absolutely.
had?
I have been nothing but, coherent with the law enforcement since the day that this happened.
Cooperative.
Cooperative, I'm sorry, thank you.
Coherent's good too.
Yeah, either way.
And you explained to the officers that you have in fact been upstairs to Mr. Anderson's residence in the past, right?
Yes.
And you testified to that today as well.
Yes,
In fact, there was even a time when you were letting him use your internet, so you had access up there for that reason.
yes. He would call me anytime that his internet didn't work. My internet always worked, but for some reason
Right.
he wouldn't get internet working up there, so I went up there a time or two to see if I could fix anything, but I couldn't anyway, so.
Now, you estimated that you were up there maybe 10 times in the past? Is that a fair?
Maybe. 10 seems a little steep. I'd say maybe even 5 or less.
Okay. And you did provide a phone number for Max, and you've testified to that today
Correct.
as well, right?
Correct.
The method of payment, that you would write a check and put it on a windowsill in the hallway, that was all just a normal way in which you pay
Correct.
rent, right?
Correct.
And
So the court reporter can't take it down if you speak at the same time. So if you could just take a breath before you answer and give it a second.
Oh, you got it. My apologies.
I think you just did that to me.
Huh? Did I?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just take a breath, it's okay. Go ahead, your next question, please.
thank you. And the officers were asking you questions about your history with Max leading up to this incident. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say, yes.
They zeroed in on questions about the night of April 1st. Do you remember that?
I remember the night, yes, but I don't have anything to report on that night.
Sure. I'll just ask some questions
Yeah,
about
go
it.
ahead. Go ahead.
If you have nothing to report, tell the jury you
Yeah,
have nothing.
absolutely.
Okay. So my question was, the police sort of zeroed in on that night of April 1st, which would have been a Monday.
Correct.
And we already know that based on your schedule, you worked a normal, if you will, corporate job
Correct.
at that time
Correct.
with a regular schedule of, I think you said 7:30 to roughly 3:30 or 4 o'clock, give or take, right?
Correct.
Some people wake up very early in the morning, they get their workouts in or whatever they end up doing, go for walks. Your schedule was, if you work at 7:30, you get up at 6:30, right?
Correct.
Get yourself ready, get to your vehicle, drive to work.
Correct.
All right. We all have routines. That was sort of your routine during the work week.
Yes.
You are, and you told the police, you are a light sleeper.
Very much so, yes.
Very much so. Right?
Yes, correct.
And what you've said is that you are a very sensitive person to noise. You could hear, just in general, that's how you are oriented. You hear noise very, very frequently.
That's correct, yes.
You used an example of even if Miss Max's dog was chewing a bone on the floor, you could even hear that at times.
That's correct, yes.
And that there were times where you would text Max or say, knock it off.
Absolutely.
I'm trying.
50 times, if not 100, yes.
I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah.
Max is you always knew Max as a bartender.
Yes,
Bartenders, for better or for worse, often have a different schedule than us working folk.
which I understood and I respected. Yes, you're correct.
And it can get bothersome at times. A person bartends till 2 a.m. They bring people home from the bar, and you're trying to get up a few hours later to go to work.
That's correct.
So the two of you had different paths in life, if you will.
Yes, very different.
You mentioned Victor's as one place that you knew that Max had worked
Yes, that's correct.
as a bartender.
As a bartender, yes.
And the noise coming from upstairs, there's really not a whole lot of soundproofing as far as you could tell in this house, right?
No, older house. I mean, anytime he moved, I mean, and I understood what a tolerable level of noise is, but even still, I mean, so much as him walking around, I could hear it up there.
Yeah, the walking around.
Yeah, just even walking around, which, I mean, I wasn't complaining about that. I was complaining about the louder stuff, so.
Yeah, nobody's saying you're texting him saying stop walking.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, but you could hear a lot of
Absolutely.
noise. And law enforcement zeroed in on that night of April 1st. We talked about that, sort of that Sunday leading into Monday, that time frame. And I think what you've said here is that there was perhaps one day that week where it's your opinion, you heard Max at, say it again, a 5 a.m., 4:30
Yeah, right around 5:30, 6 a.m. I would say that I heard him bringing what I thought was a suitcase. I thought he was packing and leaving or something like that for, a couple of days, which he was known to do.
Yes. 5:30 or 6 a.m.
5:30 to 6 a.m.
And that's the reason you can identify that as a time is because of your work schedule being a 7:30. I'm up at 6, and I can remember there was a day
Yes,
where it was like 6 a.m. and Max, or maybe 5:30, and Max is up.
correct.
Is that because you talked to him?
No, that's not because I talked to him. It's because I heard him coming down the stairs with presumably what I thought was a suitcase.
Got it. So you can remember hearing him at a 5:30 or 6 a.m. with what you thought was a suitcase.
Correct.
Okay. Not 1 o'clock in the morning.
No, this was early hours of the day.
Not 2 a.m. when it would be bar time coming home and that time of day.
No, I heard nothing.
Or midnight.
Nothing. I've heard absolutely nothing that night.
Okay. When you say that night, I mean, is the elephant in the room here? Or are you talking about the night that Sade came over, of which we're here?
I'm talking about the April 1st night in discussion that we've
Got
been
it.
talking about.
Okay. When you say that night, that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, that is the night that I'm referring to.
So, no noise that night.
No noise,
No screaming
no screaming,
or struggling
no sounds of struggling.
or a saw being used.
No, nothing like that. I assure you, if I would have heard a power saw going, I would have woken up immediately and had something to say about it.
Yes, or if it was 1 in the morning, it's 1 in the morning and you hear thump, 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 thump coming down the stairs, that's something you'd want to address.
Correct.
Right. But if it's 5:30 or 6 and I'm going to work, not as big of a deal.
Exactly correct.
And maybe this is already did you hear anybody ever scream?
I've heard absolutely nothing. I want to share with the court, I didn't even know that he was there.
It was that quiet.
It was that quiet.
Not any, and that's coming from you, the light sleeper.
Yes, correct.
And similarly, you didn't hear someone rummaging around the basement collecting a bunch of tools
No, nothing like that.
or anything in the basement at all.
I didn't hear anything in the basement at all.
And actually, if Max were to exit the house, the only way Max is getting out of his unit, other than jumping off a balcony or a window, is to go out that side door
Out that side door, correct.
with the hydraulic arm that doesn't work.
You are correct.
Right into the neighbor's home, literally right up to the neighbor's home.
You are correct, yes.
So, and then down the path to his car.
Correct.
Did you hear him dragging a body down the stairs at 1 in the morning?
I did not hear anything at 1 in the morning. The only thing that I heard was what I thought to be a suitcase or something coming down, like I said, at 5:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning.
And you don't even know what it is. Because you didn't see it.
You're correct. I have absolutely no idea. All I know is that something large was being transported down the stairs at approximately 5:30 to 6 a.m. I cannot testify and say I knew what it was, no.
Well, Max had dogs, right?
Correct.
And you said 2 of them. I think you said, didn't he have 2 dogs?
2 dogs, correct.
So dogs sometimes need to go out, right?
That's correct.
I know there's some accidents that happen in the house sometimes, but Max would take his dogs out of the house, right?
For the most part, yes.
But again, you didn't even look to see, is it dog running out with him? Is Max did you know if he let his dogs out at 5:30 or 6?
No, I didn't even, I heard the noise that he was leaving, and I was, in my mind, I'm saying, good, he's leaving. I can go to work and come home, and maybe it'll be peaceful when I get home. So I did not check or investigate or see anything at all. The only thing that I can say that I heard was, like I said, something such as a suitcase being brought down the stairs.
And you've even described yourself as a, quote, pain in the ass when he's loud. That's how you've described yourself to the police, right?
Describe myself,
Yeah, that even
Can
if
you
there's too
rephrase
much
that?
noise, you describe yourself, I'm a pain in the ass, I'll let him know. If I
yeah,
got a problem.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Now, I want to go back to when you were seated in the, was it your family room, talking to the 4 officers or 3
Correct.
officers? And one of the officers, you remember, was a female, right? Or one of the detectives, I'm sorry, one of the detectives.
They could have very well been. I do not recall
Okay.
what each individual person looked like. I can't answer that definitively.
And you said, I heard no strange or loud noises coming from Anderson's residence Monday night, April 1st, going into Tuesday morning, April 2nd. True?
I heard, yeah, like I said, the only noise that I heard was him coming down the stairs. And I cannot testify and say honestly which day that was. I don't know if that was Monday.
Right.
I don't know if that was Tuesday.
Right. The coming down the stairs with the suitcase, leaving the house or something.
Correct. That's all that
whatever
I
it
heard.
was. Could have been Tuesday
Correct.
or Wednesday.
Could have been any day.
Okay. But what you are sure about is the time being that 5:30 to 6:15.
I'm 100% positive of that as I'm getting ready for work.
That we're 100% on. Right?
Correct.
And then were you, had you heard about a body part washing up? Was that something you had heard about at the time?
Not until weeks later. Yeah, I followed the news, and obviously that was a pretty big story.
People,
So, yeah,
people were reading articles
I
about
just
it.
saw it on Facebook. Yeah.
Click on a link or something?
Yeah.
Because it's interesting or...
Yeah, it's a leg. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, in terms of you using the side door, there's some questions about your car being in front, but you would use the side door as well.
Yes, correct.
It's not like you never used it.
No, I have before. I mean, I would say, honestly, it's probably a 50-50 crapshoot on whether I park in the front or whether I park in the back.
And even if you wanted to take your trash out, every week if you want to take your trash out, you'd use the side door for that. Right?
That is correct, yes.
So you're using it at least once a week for that purpose.
Yes.
And was trash pickup on Mondays, if you remember?
I cannot recall.
Or Tuesdays? You don't remember the
I
date?
can't recall which day it was that trash went out. The cans were permanently outside of the garage, so we didn't have to take the trash cans out. The trash truck would just come by and take them from where they were currently sitting.
And Max never, you've never seen Max drive any vehicle other than his Hyundai. Would you agree with that?
No vehicle other than that black SUV. I've never seen him drive anything other than that vehicle.
There was the truck in the garage you told the jury about, but that was in a state of disrepair.
Yeah, that truck was not going anywhere, and it never did go anywhere as long as I lived there.
And in terms of, are you here to, did you ever go down in the basement that week of April 1st to April? Strike that, that's a bad question. There's the laundry machines down in the basement, obviously, right? You do agree that actually, even that week of April 1st through the interview with the police, you had even done laundry down there at least one day that week, right?
I cannot recall. I sincerely doubt it. It got to the point where, like I said, I wasn't interested in sharing a washing machine with somebody. So a lot of the time, you know, I was spending a lot of time with, you know, some family nearby anyway, just to get out of the house for a bit, and I do my laundry there mostly.
And you said that the police asked you about that basement specifically. You said you've never seen anything strange in the basement.
No, everything that is down there, I would say I would find in a normal basement.
In that Max was he liked to do arts and crafts projects, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Home improvement, stuff like that.
But arts and crafts too,
Sure.
and home improvement. You said arts and crafts as well as home improvement.
Yeah, I mean, he would draw, like, he would have drawings and stuff, not so much arts and crafts. I mean, for example, if this counts as arts and crafts, he had a cat one time and he made it a little cat house. Mm-hmm. So things like that, yes, that's correct.
In that, there was the hole on the side yard where he was going to have a dog kennel, right?
Yes, dog kennel / whatever
Tool
else.
shed.
Tool shed, yes, correct.
And then a tiki bar in the back of the yard. There was
Correct.
an idea for that.
Correct.
One minute, Judge, please. Those are all my questions. Thank you.
State?
Was Mr. Anderson aware that you were a light sleeper, so to speak?
I believe so. The countless interactions that we had where I'm having to tell him to quiet down, I would assume he got the picture, yes.
Your reason for assuming he would have gotten the picture is because of the times you had complained to him.
Yeah, countless times, correct.
Were you, that week that the police were at your house, were you ever going out into the side yard in the middle of the night?
No, never, no.
You would have been what? Doing what?
I would have been dead asleep.
This time that you heard what you believe to be a suitcase, did you also hear that door opening and slamming?
I did hear the door opening as he was leaving with whatever it was that he was bringing down the stairs, correct.
Was it a loud door?
It's a screaming loud door with the hydraulic arm not there. It just slammed right shut.
But your testimony is that you are not sure which day of the week that was.
I am not sure. I cannot pinpoint. I do not feel comfortable sitting up here and pinpointing a date. I do not know which day.
Back when you first spoke to detectives, just days after they were at your house, did you also inform them of whether you knew which day that was?
I also held with them. I wasn't sure. I've always held that I am not positive as to which day it was that I heard him coming down. It had been raining for like 2 weeks. There was no sunny day that I could differentiate one day from the next, and I was working on a good deal of projects with work that week.
I have nothing else.
Attorney Cotton?
No.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.